The sun was dipping beneath the horizon, casting long shadows over the vast, empty stretch of desert road. It was late evening, and the air shimmered with the heat that still lingered from the day. Somewhere off in the distance, the rumble of engines echoed, a sound that wasn't uncommon in the isolated stretch of land near the military base. Tower 14, a solitary security checkpoint along the border between the United States and Mexico, stood like a sentinel, a small concrete structure where soldiers rotated in shifts to keep watch over the area. Sergeant Alex Stone, a seasoned veteran of the U.S. Army, sat in the modest guard shack of Tower 14, sipping on a lukewarm can of coffee. He had been stationed here for the last 6 months, far from the action, but it was a job that required more attention than most people realized. The desert was unforgiving, and the dangers of smugglers, human traffickers, and the occasional unpredictable biker gang kept him on edge. It was a quiet night, though, or so it seemed. Stone glanced out the window of the guard shack, his trained eyes scanning the darkening horizon. His shift was almost over, and he was looking forward to heading back to the barracks, to the routine of meals, drills, and a few hours of sleep. His radio crackled suddenly, breaking the silence. Tower 14, this is Bravo 6. We've got movement on the highway. Looks like a biker crew heading your way. You copy? Stone grabbed the radio and responded, his voice calm but firm. Copy that, Bravo 6. I'll keep an eye out. The last thing he needed was a bunch of rowdy bikers causing trouble. This area was remote enough to feel like the Wild West, but it was still U.S. soil, and Stone took his duties seriously. He checked the rifle by his side standard procedure, even if it was just a few motorcycle riders. The adrenaline started to pick up as he stepped out of the shack and into the cool desert night. A dozen or so motorcycles appeared on the horizon, their headlights slicing through the darkness. The riders were coming in fast, their engines roaring like thunder. Stone could tell from the way they were riding that these weren't your typical weekend warriors. These bikers were part of something bigger, an outlaw group, maybe even a gang. He'd dealt with their kind before, and it never ended well. Stone climbed up the ladder to the top of the tower, his boots scraping against the metal rungs. From the higher vantage point, he could see them more clearly now. The lead rider, a man in a black leather vest with a patch that read Hell Riders MC, signaled to the others to slow down as they approached the checkpoint. Stone's hand tightened on the rifle, but he remained calm. The bikers pulled up to the barricade at the base of Tower 14. The leader, a tall man with a thick beard and tattoos that covered his arms, dismounted and walked toward the guard shack. Stone's instincts told him this wasn't a friendly visit. He stayed on the tower, watching through his scope, waiting for the right moment to act. Hey! The biker leader shouted up at the tower. You the guy running this joint? Stone didn't answer right away. He knew better than to engage without knowing the full picture. The bikers looked rough, but he couldn't yet tell if they were just looking for trouble or if they had a specific reason for being here. What do you want? Stone's voice came through the intercom, sharp and professional. We just need to talk, man, the biker said. We're not here for any trouble. Just passing through, and we need a place to rest. Stone's mind raced. It was common for bikers to look for an easy stop, but Tower 14 was not a rest area. It was a military installation, and there were strict protocols about who could be there. Letting them stay could invite all kinds of problems. Keep moving. This is military property, Stone said firmly. You're not welcome here. The biker's face darkened, and he glanced back at his crew. There was a subtle shift in the air, something Stone couldn't quite put his finger on. A few of the other riders dismounted, their faces unreadable. You don't want to do that, man, the biker leader said, his voice laced with menace. We don't take kindly to being told what to do. Stone remained silent, his finger lightly brushing the trigger of his rifle just in case. The last thing he wanted was to escalate things, but he wasn't about to back down either. The tension in the air thickened, and just when it seemed like the situation might turn violent, one of the other bikers, a younger man with a mohawk and a sleeveless jacket, pulled a bottle from his vest and threw it at the guard shack. The glass shattered, and the alcohol inside splashed across the metal siding. That was all Stone needed. He aimed his rifle at the ground in front of the bikers, the sound of the shot echoing in the night. Last warning. Move along or I'll call it in. You won't get far. The bikers froze, and for a moment, the desert air was still. Then the leader of the gang took a step back, holding up his hands in mock surrender. You think you can stop us, soldier? The leader sneered, his eyes narrowed. You're all alone out here. Just you and your tower. Stone's grip tightened, but he didn't fire. He was trained to de-escalate, but he knew his options were running thin. The bikers weren't backing down, and the situation was starting to spiral. You don't want to test me, Stone said coldly. I've taken down men who were a lot worse than you. A slow smile spread across the leader's face. You're talking tough, soldier. But I don't think you're as tough as you think you are. Before Stone could respond, there was a loud crack gunfire. A shot rang out from one of the bikers. The bullet ricocheted off the metal of the guard shack just inches from Stone's head. Time seemed to slow. Stone's training kicked in immediately. Without hesitation, he dropped to a crouch, bringing his rifle to bear. In one fluid motion, he squeezed the trigger. The shot hit the biker who had fired, sending him crashing to the ground. Another biker raised his weapon, but Stone was faster, taking him down with a well-placed shot to the shoulder. The gang scattered, but Stone was already on his feet, moving quickly to secure the situation. The remaining bikers seemed to realize they were outmatched. A few tried to flee, but Stone was ready. The radio crackled again. Bravo 6, this is Tower 14. I need backup. Now. Within minutes, a convoy of military vehicles appeared on the horizon, their lights flashing in the distance. The bikers, realizing they were outnumbered, sped off into the night, their engines fading into the distance. Stone stood at the edge of the tower, his breath coming in heavy bursts, his mind still sharp. He had held his ground, and the message was clear. No one messed with the soldier at Tower 14. As the backup vehicles arrived and the soldiers began to secure the area, Stone let out a deep breath. It had been a long night, and the dust was starting to settle. But in this job, you never knew when the next threat would come. What he did know was that, for now, he had done his duty and Tower 14 remained secure.